Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to lecture 18 of data mining. So today we will continue our discussion on clustering algorithms. In the previous lectures, we had talked about partitional algorithms like the k-mean, the k-medoids, the k-medians, the k-modes, and we also discussed hierarchical clustering, agglomerative hierarchical clustering, and today, we will discuss a couple of more techniques. One of them is called BIRCH, and then we'll move on to a density-based clustering algorithm, which is DBSCAN. So this is basically the agenda for today. So are there any questions? Just a couple of people have joined so far.
No, sir.
So do you have any question? Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So I have placed some examples of clustering on LMS. There are actually two document files. One is named Birch and the other is called clustering examples. So both of them, you will find some examples, solved examples of clustering. Okay. So in the last lecture, we were talking about hierarchical clustering. So hierarchical clustering is in general a category of clustering algorithms in which we incrementally increase the number of clusters, especially if you are doing agglomerative clustering, decrease the number of clusters, especially if you are doing agglomerative clustering, until we have reached the desired number of clusters. And as such, you do not need the number of clusters as an input to these clustering algorithms. One way of visualizing hierarchical clustering is through the tree-like structure called dendrogram. So dendrogram shows you the clusters at each level of the tree. So if you cut that dendrogram horizontally at any given height, you will get the number of clusters at that particular height. And of course, depending on your needs, you can move up and get fewer clusters or move down and get more clusters. So one other thing that we talked about hierarchical clustering last time was that this technique is generally preferred, especially when you're doing interactive clustering. So you're doing clustering and you would like to visualize after each stage the cluster that you have obtained. So one other thing that we talked about last time regarding hierarchical clustering was that it uses a local criterion. So local clustering criterion. And in the case of agglomerative clustering, you have a merge decision made at each level. So that merge decision is based on, of course, some similarity between objects and between clusters. And we merge those two entities which are the most similar. So there is only one merge done at each level. Okay? But this decision, once it is made, it cannot be reversed. So for example, let's say at any given stage in time, you have these clusters 1 and 2, and let's say there's a 0.5, and then there's another cluster, let's say 6 and 7. So let's say at the next level, you basically do 1, 2, and 5, and then 6 and 7. So whenever you merge any two entities, whether objects or clusters, that merge decision cannot be undone. So you cannot remove an object once it has been placed into a cluster. So if you have made a wrong decision at any given level, that wrong decision will propagate as you move up the dendrogram. Okay? So there is no global checking at any stage. Once a decision has been made, it's a done deal, and you move forward. So this is kind of a negative for the hierarchical clustering, and this is as opposed to most partitional clustering algorithms. In most partitional clustering, you have what is known as iterative relocation. So after each step, for example, if you talk about the k-means, you look at the entire clustering again after each iteration, and after a particular iteration, a particular object may be removed from one cluster and may be assigned to another cluster. So iterative relocation is possible, while in hierarchical clustering, iterative relocation is not possible. Once a decision is made, that object will remain in that cluster. Okay, so these are some of the characteristics of hierarchical clustering as opposed to, for example, partitional clustering. And this is a consequence of the fact that a local merge decision is done, and once it is done, it cannot be undone. So there is no backtracking per se. Okay. And then of course, we also talked about the computational complexity. So in general, the computational complexity is n squared. Okay. So where n is a number of objects. So this is, of course, more expensive as compared to the k-means, which is, of course, big O n. Okay. Of course, for hierarchical clustering, you have to have similarity functions or dissimilarity functions that can quantify the dissimilarity between two clusters as well. So we talked about those last time. Okay. So after this, I'm going to talk about another hierarchical clustering algorithm, which is also online or real time, which is known by the long or fancy name BIRCH, which stands for balanced iterative, I don't know, clustering with hierarchies. Okay. So BIRCH is basically an online clustering algorithm. Okay. It is only applicable to numeric data types. Okay. And we'll see why this is so. And of course, it is hierarchical because we are studying it in this case. It is hierarchical clustering, and thus it has all of those hierarchical clustering techniques, characteristics. But it has some good things. One thing is online. Online ka matlab ye hai ki you can cluster data as it comes in one at a time. While in the previous algorithm that we have studied so far, you need the entire data set at any given point in time before you can cluster. In this case, you can cluster streaming data as well, data that comes in one object at a time. Okay? And it uses a specialized data structure for its hierarchy, and which is basically a B tree or balanced tree. So you have probably studied B trees in your data structure courses or algorithm courses. So essentially, it's a balanced tree. All the leaf nodes would be at one level. So let's look at the algorithm quickly, and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay. So first, as I said, it is only applicable to numeric data sets. So one of the ideas that the BIRCH introduced is what is known as the clustering feature, which is also abbreviated as CF. So this is a summary information for any cluster. So it has three things. So CF basically is a set of n, which is the number of objects in the cluster. Then LS, which is the linear sum of the objects in the cluster, and SS, which is the squared sum of the objects in the cluster. So for all clusters, it summarizes its information in these three values. Okay. So let's say, let me take a cluster. So let me take a 2D cluster actually, because 2D में ज़्यादा ये बेहतर समझ आएगा. So let's say I have an object. First object is x की value 1 है, 2 है, और दूसरा object जो है वो let's say 2 and 3 है, 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. So let's say both of them are in some cluster. तो इसका CF क्या होगा? Of course there are two objects, 2 होंगे, ठीक है? And then LS and of course SS, ये मैं अब लिखता हूँ क्या है? LS, as the name suggests, is the linear sum, and of course linear sum for each dimension of or each feature of the object representation. So LS इसका होगा basically पहला object का first dimension 1 था, दूसरे का 2 था, तो linear sum would be 3. Second dimension का 2 था और दूसरे का 3 था, this would be 5. ठीक है? So linear sum would be 2 and 5. तो squared sum, तो हर एक वैल्यू की आपने स्क्वायर करना, 1 square plus 2 square, 4 plus 1, 5. The first value would be 5. And the second is 2 square, which is 4 plus 3 square, which is 9. 9 plus 4 is 13. So SS आपका ये है. So this cluster, which has two objects, is summarized, or you can say represented by three values. And these values are the number of objects, the LS and the SS. So what is the purpose for this summary? One of the things is that you can use this summary to get key stats of the cluster. So one of the stats that you can get is the centroid, or let's say the mean of this cluster. So how can you find the mean? Mean is simply LS divided by N. ठीक है? So LS हमारा इसका क्या था? 2, 5 था. So basically it would be 2 divided by 2 and 5 divided by 2. So this is 1 and 2.5. So mean point of this cluster is, okay? So you can find the centroid or the mean position of this cluster by just using these values. You don't need to maintain the actual points. And also you can compute the diameter and of course the radius as well of such a cluster. So dia का formula जो होगा वो basically SQRT, which is square root, ठीक है? Square root of 2 into SS. SS, remember, is a vector, but जो मैंने अब उसको absolute bars में डाला है, उस vector की जो values हैं उसका sum करना है आपने, ठीक है? That was meant by these values. This -2 into LS also in general is a vector, but here हम ये vector inner product करेंगे with LS again. ठीक है? ठीक है. So just a second. And we divide this with n into n minus 1. ठीक है? So this will give you the diameter of the cluster for which you have this CF is defined. So it can have many objects, and those objects could be multidimensional. So this formula will give you the exact diameter of the cluster. Of course, this formula can be derived from first principles using multidimensional Euclidean distance. ठीक है, but of course it can be computed from these stats as well. So for example, जो मैंने ऊपर 2 points का objects बनाया तो उसका क्या बनेगा? So for example, SQRT, so 2 into SS मेरे पास क्या था उधर? एक था 1 and 5 था शायद, 5 4 plus 1 5 और 13 था, तो 5 plus 13 हमने ऐड कर देना है, तो 5 plus 13 is I think 18, तो माइनस उसका 2 into LS क्या था हमारे पास? LS था 3 and 5, right? 2 3 and 5, right? So 3 and 5 और 3 and 5 का इनर प्रोडक्ट लेना है, which is 3 times 3 9 plus 5 times 5 25. 9 plus 25 is 25 plus 9 34. 34. Okay. Of course, this is divided by 2 and 1, or is सारों का square root. So this will give you the diameter of the cluster. So this is one advantage of the CF and the stats that it maintains. You can compute the center, you can compute the diameter. The other thing about CF is that you can grow this CF incrementally. Let's say आपके पास एक CF1 है, एक cluster है, और एक CF2 है, दूसरा cluster है. And let's say you merge CF1 and CF2. So this merge is very easy. You simply add the two CFs. So let's say मेरे पास जो CF1 था, CF1 मेरे पास था 2 और क्या था ऊपर 3 and 5, and then let's say 4 5 and 13, और let's say CF2 मेरे पास कोई और था, इसमें भी let's say 2 points हैं, और I'm just going to choose some random numbers here, although random numbers में मसला आएगा, exact नहीं होगा. But anyway, I think just to explain it, 2, 3, and let's say 4 and 9. So if you merge both of these clusters, the CF that you get is simply the sum of the above. So it will 4 points in it. LS का आप sum करें. LS का sum था 3 plus 2 5, और फिर 5 plus 3 I think 8. And similarly SS का भी sum होगा 5 plus 9 था मेरे ख्याल से. I don't know, what did I write? Four and 9 था. तो आपके पास था 4 plus 5, ये 9 हो जाएगा, and then 13 plus 9 would be 22, I think. So you can simply update the CF. You don't need to know the objects in those clusters. You can get the CF of the merged cluster by simply looking at the CF values of the individual clusters. ठीक है? So any questions so far? So the CF basically summarizes key information of a cluster, and using that key information you can compute some key relevant information about the cluster, like the centroid as well as the diameter, and you can merge clusters very easily by just adding the CF values of those clusters. Okay, so that's basically the stat. And then how is okay, so this was about CF. Now let's look at the algorithm. How does the algorithm work? So algorithm basically creates a CF tree, which is, as I said, a balanced tree, which is a tree that you typically study in data structures. ठीक है? The nodes of this tree basically contain CFs, which are of course clusters, but CFs would be the summary of those clusters. The leaf nodes will also contain CFs, but वहाँ आप cluster objects भी डाल सकते हैं for completeness sake. Of course, this is all up to you. And the leaf node would have the most detailed clustering, and of course, higher level पे आपके पास coarser clustering होगा, fewer clusters होंगे. So how does it work? Let's see. Probably to explain it quickly, I'll use 1D data. पहले 2D का मैंने बताया था. Let's look at 1D data. So let's say आपके पास 1.2 आया, ठीक है? So you don't have anything right now, so you create the first CF. The first CF is created. Of course, इसमें 1 होगा और इस object का जो linear sum 1 है, and of course squared sum 4 है. So 1D है, ठीक है ना? And this CF would be the first node of your tree. So you can say node 1, ठीक है? By the way, the algorithm has 2 parameters. The parameters are branching factor, which is B, which is the maximum number of CFs in a given node. CF actually एक cluster को represent करता है और एक node में multiple clusters हो सकते हैं. वो कितने होंगे वो B बताता है. And of course branching factor tree में क्या है, हर एक CF का एक child भी हो सकता है, ठीक है? Okay, so we'll look into this. Clear होगा, थोड़ा figure draw करके मैं बताऊंगा. Just hold on a little bit. And the second is a threshold on dia, which you can say, let's say D. So if the diameter increases beyond D, you will have to split the cluster. So there are 2 parameters. ठीक है, तो ये मेरे पास पहला था. So let's say मेरे पास एक और ऑब्जेक्ट आता 4. Since there is only one option, एक ही CF था, तो वो आप उसी में डालेंगे CF में. तो इस CF में डालेंगे तो नया CF क्या बनेगा? 2 ऑब्जेक्ट्स हो जाएंगे. 4 + 2 is 6. 4 square is 16. 16 plus पहले क्या था? 2 square 4. 16 plus 4 20 हो गया, ठीक है ना? So अब ये आपके पास नया cluster आ गया. But once you have put this object, any new object into a CF, you have to check the diameter. You need to ensure the diameter is within the threshold. If it is not, then this new object would not come in this cluster. It will be a new cluster. ठीक है? So let's say कि ये अभी diameter लिमिट के अंदर ही है. Diameter किस तरह निकालेंगे? वो जो ऊपर फॉर्मूला बताया था. So now let's say एक और ऑब्जेक्ट आता है, let's say 6 आ जाता है. वो भी आप इसी के अंदर डालेंगे. CF पहले देखा आपने, ये 3 हो गया. तो पहले क्या था वो? Six and 20. तो 6 + 6 12 हो गया. 20 + 36 हो गया 56. तो ये आपके पास आ गया. But let's say अब ये let's say diameter becomes greater than D. So it means that it's not allowed. What you have to do is then you have to add this new object in a new cluster. So जो आपका original CF1 वही रहा, तो आपने एक CF2 बनाया और उसमें ये आपने डाल दिया 1, 6 और 36. ठीक है? So in other words, this one node now has 2 CFs. ठीक है? And then let's say कोई next कोई आपके पास object आता है, let's say मेरे पास object रहता है 7 आता है. अब 7 के लिए 2 options हैं, either to go into CF1 or to go into CF2. But now you will check कि किसके करीब है ये. So 7 obviously is एंड ऑफ कोर्स किस तरह करीब देखना है, उसका सेंट्रॉइड पोजीशन आप निकालेंगे और देखेंगे 7 किससे करीब है. तो ऑब्वियसली यहाँ आपको फ्रॉम easiness you know that it is closer to CF2, so it will be added to CF2. तो ये CF1 वही पुराना था, तो CF2 में ये ऐड हो जाएगा 2 और 6 + 7 13, 7 × 7 49, तो 36 + 49 ये स्क्वायर हो गया. ठीक है. सो अभी हम एक ही नोड है हमारे पास, बट लेट्स से और हम ऐड करते जाते हैं और कोई इनमें से फर्दर स्प्लिट होता है और एक और हमको क्लस्टर ऐड करना पड़ रहा है, एंड लेट्स से ब्रांचिंग फैक्टर एक्सीड हो जाता है. सो इफ दैट इज गोइंग टू हैपन देन दिस नोड इज गोइंग टू बी स्प्लिट, एंड देन फिर वो ऊपर एक नोड आना पड़ेगा. जैसे आपको याद होगा, आपने डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स में इंसर्शन जब करते हैं, ट्री ग्रो किस तरह करता है, नीचे से ऊपर जाता है. यहाँ भी ये उसी तरह ही जाएगा. सो लेट मी मे बी ट्राई टू शो यू थ्रू ए फिगर, मे बी थ्रू ए डायग्राम. So what is happening is, so please follow me with the diagram. It might be messy. तो नोड है हमारे पास, नोड के अंदर ये CFs होते हैं, CF1 एंड CF2. ठीक है. सो लेट्स से हमारे पास इनिशियली एक ही नोड है, बट लेट्स से और हमारा ब्रांचिंग फैक्टर लेट्स से so branching factor let's say 2 है maximum, b is equal to 2, which means that we cannot tolerate a third CF. तो लेट्स से कोई इसमें से स्प्लिट हो जाता है, नहीं स्प्लिट नहीं होता, कोई नया ऑब्जेक्ट आता है जो इन दोनों में नहीं आ सकता, उनमें डालते हैं तो डायमीटर बढ़ जाता है. तो इसका मतलब है कि वो आपने एक नया CF3 बनाना है, but CF3 is not allowed. So what happens is this node has to split. You have to have two nodes now, एक नोड और दूसरा नोड. अब मे बी CF3 इधर आ गया, यहाँ CF1 इसमें था, CF2 इसमें था, और फिर ऊपर जाके आपके पास इसका एक रूट आ जाएगा. ठीक है, जिसमें उसमें एक नोड होगा which would be the sum of both of these CFs. नीचे जो CF1 2 3 का सारों का सम होगा. एक्चुअली ऊपर दो, हाँ ठीक है, ऊपर सारों का सम होगा. ठीक है. सो इस तरह ये नीचे ग्रो होता है एट एनी गिवन टाइम. जो नीचे से ये बैलेंस्ड रहेगा हमेशा, बिकॉज सिंस वी आर ग्रोइंग फ्रॉम बॉटम अपवर्ड्स, नीचे से ये हमेशा बैलेंस्ड रहेगा. जब भी आप कोई नया ऑब्जेक्ट आएगा, लेट्स से इस तरह का ट्री है मेरे पास, कोई नया ऑब्जेक्ट है, हमने हमेशा पहले लीफ नोड तक जाना है और वहां देखना है कि किधर वो ऐड होगा, CF1 2 3 में. लेट्स से कहीं भी ऐड होता है तो ऐड करके हमने अपडेट कर देना ट्री को. लेट्स से उस ऐड करने के बाद लेट्स से कोई डायमीटर एक्सीड हो रहा है तो हमको नया CF डालना है. लेट्स से नए CF की जगह है तो वो डल जाएगा और फिर ट्री अपडेट हो जाएगा. बट लेट्स से उसमें जगह नहीं है, बी लेट्स से एक्सीड हो रहा है, तो वो फिर नोड स्प्लिट होगा. नोड स्प्लिट होगा तो फिर ट्री ग्रो करेगा ऊपर से. सो वंस यू हैव दिस ट्री, देन ऑब्वियसली हर एक लेवल पे यू हैव ए क्लस्टरिंग. लोअर लेवल पे ज्यादा क्लस्टर्स होंगे, अपर लेवल पे थोड़े क्लस्टर्स होंगे. So that's one thing. The other thing is this tree grows with new examples. मतलब incremental data आपके पास आ रहा है, data stream आ रही है, तो you can cluster it as it comes in. To repeat, what are the steps? Obviously, at start you have just one node. ठीक है? Any object comes, it creates the first CF, which is CF is actually a cluster. उसका CF is a representation. When the next object comes, you insert it into that CF. Diameter आपने check किया, you check the diameter. If the diameter exceeds the limit, you need to add that new object in a new CF. So it means that now you have two CFs. ठीक है? So you continue in this fashion, and if the number of CFs in a given node exceeds the branching factor, you will have to split the node. तो split the node में फिर you have to create two nodes. Let's say आपके पास एक originally CF1 था. Just hold on. So you have CF1, CF2, or CF3. So this was, let's say, one node, but since 3 is not allowed for your particular setting, you will have to split it. तो इसमें आप क्या करेंगे? You will have to decide कि which two clusters are the most closest. इन तीनों में से देखेंगे if CF1 and CF2 are closest, or CF1 and CF3 are closest, और CF2 और CF3 are closest. जो दो closest होंगे वो एक नोड में आ जाएंगे, CF1, CF2. क्या आ रहा है? ठीक है, और जो बाकी रह गया वो ऑफ कोर्स CF3 में आ जाएगा, दूसरा नोड, एंड देन ऑफ कोर्स ये ऊपर जाके एक नया नोड बन जाएगा.
सर ये क्लोजेस्ट है, ये कैसे हम डायमीटर से चेक कर रहे हैं? हम
क्लस्टर का क्लोजनेस जो है वो सेंट्रोइडल डिस्टेंस होगा. ठीक है ना? तो लेट्स से एक CF1 है और एक CF2 है, दोनों के आप सेंटर्स तो निकाल सकते हैं ना, तो फिर सेंटर्स के दरमियान में जो डिस्टेंस है वो आपको बताएगा कि whether two are the most closest or not.
ओके.
Okay. So any other question? So इसमें जो I think most of it is fairly straightforward. The only thing that you probably had to take a closer look at is the operation of growing the tree. Or, by the way, but this is exactly similar to what you have probably studied way back in your data structure algorithms course. Okay. So I would probably recommend कि quickly उसको आप जाके फिर देख सकते हैं. So whenever you have, let's say, CF1 और CF2, ये एक क्लस्टर हो गया, और let's say एक और नोड में आपने CF3 डाला, तो इसका ऊपर एक रूट बनेगा. तो जो रूट होगा उसमें जो लेफ्ट वाला जो नोड है उसका ऊपर एक CF होगा, ऊपर let's say इसको CF1 है, और राइट वाला का ऑफ कोर्स वही होगा CF2, और ये ऊपर एक नोड बनेगा. तो जो लेफ्ट वाला जो ऊपर CF1 आ रहा है उस पर सम ऑफ द बॉटम descended CF1 and CF2 because it's the merger of that. ठीक है, तो नीचे आपके पास 3 क्लस्टर्स होंगे, ऊपर सिर्फ 2 होंगे. ऊपर एक नोड होगा, नीचे 2 नोड होंगे. अब लेट्स से फिर कोई स्प्लिट होता है, ऊपर भी जगह पूरी होती है, तो एक और लेवल बन जाएगा ऊपर. You grow up. So the key advantage of this algorithm, as I mentioned before, was it is online. It is incremental. It can cluster data streams. ठीक है, so that is the main advantage of this algorithm. You can think of applications where information is coming in as stream as a stream. Let's say कुछ sensor है, sensor data record कर रहा है, और आपने as the data comes in, you want to build the clusters. But as you can also imagine, the clustering would then be somewhat data order dependent. ठीक है. So let's say let's say data set आपका एक ही था, but let's say if you stream it in different order, you might get slightly different clusterings. So that is possible. ठीक है. And of course, the whole issue of it being hierarchical, so you always have a local criterion. There is no global oversight over the clustering. Once it has been added to a cluster, you cannot remove it from that cluster. ठीक है. But you can of course recluster any level using any other technique. Let's say आपने एक दफा tree बना लिया, CF tree बना लिया. At any level, you can then apply maybe k-means, which is a partitional algorithm, and it can do iterative relocation and give you a more optimal clustering. Okay, so you can do that as a post-processing to BERT. Okay, so any questions?
Yes, sir.
Of course, if you talk about the online algorithm, meaning that the data comes in one object at a time, the technique is quite efficient. And if you consider all the objects, it's linear in the number of objects. Okay? So let's say if you want to cluster n objects, you will just need computational complexity, which is order of n. Okay, so I think let's move on.
Sir, somebody had a question.
Yes, sir.
क्या चीज?
सर क्वेश्चन है.
जी जी पूछें.
सर जब आप अभी जो आपने एग्जांपल दी उसमें हमारे पास एक पेरेंट नोड आ गई और 2 चाइल्ड नोड थी.
जी जी.
सर अब जब कोई नया डाटा आएगा तो वो किस तरफ से इंसर्ट होगा? वो पेरेंट के साथ जॉइन होने की कोशिश करेगा या वो जो CF3 अलग से हमारे पास चाइल्ड में था वो पहले उसको फिल करने जाएंगे?
हमेशा हमने ऊपर से ही आना है. हम पहले ऊपर देखेंगे, पेरेंट नोड पे देखेंगे, उसमें देखेंगे किस पेरेंट नोड के CF के साथ करीब है. उसके फिर लीफ पे जाएंगे, फिर देखेंगे उसके लीफ में जितने भी CF है उसमें किसके करीब है. और लेट्स से जिसके करीब जिसमें लीफ में उसमें डालेंगे. लीफ में डलता है पहले, ऊपर से आके लीफ में डलेगा. अब फिर यहाँ से फिर प्रोसेसिंग फिर वापस ऊपर जाएगी कि लेट्स से लीफ में डल गया और कोई नया CF नहीं बन रहा, तो सिंपली आपने ऊपर जाके ऊपर का CF अपडेट कर देना है. लेट्स से उसमें लीफ में डलने के बाद नया CF आ रहा है और CF की जगह B है, फिर भी आपने ऊपर जाके CF अपडेट कर देना है. लेट्स से उसकी CF की जगह नहीं थी तो वो नोड स्प्लिट होगा. वो स्प्लिट होगा तो ये 2 नोड्स बन जाएंगे और प्रॉपर्ली ऊपर भी एक नया CF ऐड हो जाएगा. लेट्स से ऊपर CF जो ऐड हुआ उसकी भी जगह नहीं थी तो वो भी स्प्लिट होके एक और लेवल आ जाएगा ऊपर. ठीक है ना. तो ये इस तरह करके चलता है. ऐड करने के लिए ऊपर से नीचे आएंगे एंड तक, फिर नीचे जो अपडेट होगी वो ऊपर जाएगा, प्रोसेस होगा.
ओके, थैंक यू.
ठीक है. तो ये मैंने क्लस्टरिंग एग्जाम्पल के नाम से एक फाइल अपलोड की हुई LMS में. उसमें एग्जाम्पल दिया हुआ है बर्ड्स के, शायद 2 एग्जाम्पल्स हैं उसमें. सो प्लीज गो ओवर दैट, you will get a better idea of how this works. And then of course you can look at the book as well as material on the web. So originally जो BERT propose हुआ था, it was proposed for memory efficient clustering. And they also had a whole bunch of things regarding के B और DIA को किस तरह सेट करें such that each node की information memory में fit हो जाए. but that has become less important in modern days. Nowadays, the main advantage of BERT is online clustering or incremental clustering. ठीक है, जो ओरिजिनल पेपर में देखेंगे तो वो काफी टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं मेमोरी मैनेजमेंट के ऊपर भी, पर वो इतना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं रहा. Okay, now let's move on to the next category of algorithms, density-based clustering. So far, most of the clustering that we have studied so far were prototype-based. Remember, we did various types of categorizations. One was prototype-based, the other was density-based. Then we also had grid-based and even graph-based. So these were categorization based on how we represent a cluster. So far we have always represented clusters by some point in that cluster. Like K-means में उसका mean है, K-medoid में centrally located object है. Even in, for example, ये Birch में देखा था, it was the mean of that point was used as the prototype or representative of the cluster. So now we will define clusters by density. And as you know, density is defined by the number of objects and basically the volume in which those objects lie. Because density किस तरह defined होती है? Basically n over area या volume in more general sense. ठीक है ना? तो density उस तरह defined होती है. So intuitively you understand now कि in this category of clustering algorithms, a cluster is basically defined as a region of high density. So a cluster is a region of high density. Okay? And density, as I said, is number of objects over some volume. While in the previous case, prototype base में a cluster were defined by some point and a radius or a diameter or essentially a radius around that central point. Okay? But here it is a region which is dense and its density exceeds some threshold. ठीक है, तो इसमें जो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव टेक्निक जो हम पढ़ेंगे वो which is known as DB scan. ठीक है, which is density based clustering. And of course इसका जो acronym है, sometimes I usually don't remember. Scan तो of course I think it कुछ it has a meaning, you can look it up, but most popularly just use called DB scan. But this is, as I said, is density based clustering. Okay. So let's look at some core ideas in this technique as well as in general density based clustering. We actually need to have two parameters. One is called epsilon, which is the radius around a center, okay, which defines a region, of course. Okay. So this defines a region. And then the other parameter that we have is min points, which is minimum number of objects in the region. So you define a region using epsilon, and min points is the minimum number of objects in that region to make an object, make that region dense. So ये दो parameters आपको usually pre-specify करने पड़ते हैं for DB scan. ठीक है, and then given this we now define some types of objects. So first we have a core object. ठीक है, so a core object is an object for which the region around that object has more than minimum number of points. So in other words, this core object lies at the center of a dense region. So for example, P is a core object if min points greater than or equal to min points objects lie in the epsilon neighborhood of P. ठीक है, so so basically आपके पास ये कोई पॉइंट P है, इसका कोई एप्सिलॉन होगा, ठीक है, which is in 2D space of course मल्टी डायमेंशनल में अप्रोप्रिएटली कोई रेडियस होगा. अब इस एरिया में लेट्स से मिनिमम पॉइंट्स या इससे ज्यादा ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं इंक्लूडिंग दिस पॉइंट P, then we say that this point P is a core object. ठीक है, so let's say मैं कहता हूँ min points 4 है, so मेरे पास कोई ये P है, so let's say min point मेरे पास 4 है, तो ये मेरे पास P था, तो 1 2 3 और ऑब्जेक्ट्स भी हैं इसके इसमें, तो then P is a core object because it satisfies the condition that in its neighborhood, which is defined by epsilon, there are 4 or more objects in it. So if you have a point P which has just one other object or 2 objects in it, then this P would not be a core point. ठीक है, okay, so that is a core point. So a core point वो पॉइंट है जिसके नेबरहुड में मिनिमम नंबर ऑफ पॉइंट्स या उससे ज्यादा हैं, ठीक है. सो नेक्स्ट ऑब्जेक्ट इज ए बॉर्डर ऑब्जेक्ट. ठीक है, सो व्हाट इज अ बॉर्डर ऑब्जेक्ट? बॉर्डर ऑब्जेक्ट इज नॉट ए कोर ऑब्जेक्ट. ठीक है, ऑब्जेक्ट बट it lies within a dense region. मतलब किसी कोर ऑब्जेक्ट के रीजन में है, बट इटसेल्फ ये कोर ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं है. इटसेल्फ कोर ऑब्जेक्ट कब बनेगा? जब इसका अपने रीजन में इतने पॉइंट्स हों. ठीक है, सो डू यू गेट दिस? सो लेट्स से ये मेरे पास कोर रीजन है और एक पॉइंट इधर है कहीं, और इसके इर्द गिर्द मैं सर्कल बनाऊंगा तो फिर उसके इर्द गिर्द उतने पॉइंट्स नहीं हैं, बट ये खुद ही एक पी के ऑब्जेक्ट के कोर रीजन के अंदर है, एक डेंस रीजन के अंदर है, तो देन दिस वुड बी ए बॉर्डर पॉइंट। ठीक है, and then the third point that we have is called an outlier. So it is neither a core point nor a border point. So what does this mean? ये वो वाला पॉइंट है जिसके इर्द गिर्द मिनिमम पॉइंट्स भी नहीं है, और ये वो वाला पॉइंट है जो किसी और के डेंस रीजन में भी नहीं है। ठीक है, सो इट्स दैट्स व्हाई दिस इज कॉल्ड एन आउटलायर। ठीक है, so given this definition for points, so a cluster in density based clustering, and especially in DBSCAN, is a region of connected core and border points. So connected क्या मतलब, हम obviously connected क्यों है, because we have points, जैसे एक कोर पॉइंट है उसके इर्द गिर्द कुछ पॉइंट्स होंगे, सो ऑब्वियसली जो उसके इर्द गिर्द पॉइंट्स हैं दे आर रीचेबल फ्रॉम दिस पॉइंट इन द सेंस दैट दे आर इन द सेम डेंस रीजन, और बॉर्डर पॉइंट्स भी ऑब्वियसली इस डेंस रीजन में हो सकता है बिकॉज वो पॉइंट है जो खुद ही कोर नहीं है, बट लेट्स से मल्टीपल कोर जब ज्वाइन हो रहे हैं तो देन दे कैन फॉर्म ए कनेक्टेड रीजन। सो फॉर एग्जांपल let's say so for example ये एक कोर पॉइंट है, इसका मतलब ये रीजन मेरा बन गया, फिर आगे एक और कोर पॉइंट है तो ये रीजन मेरा बढ़ सकता है आगे यूं करके, इट कैन मेक डिफरेंट शेप्स बिकॉज दोज कोर पॉइंट्स एंड बॉर्डर पॉइंट्स मे बी कनेक्टेड। सो फॉर एग्जांपल लेट्स से एक ये मेरा कोर पॉइंट है, इसके रीजन में एक और कोर पॉइंट भी है, उसका अपना एक रीजन है, इसके अंदर एक और कोर पॉइंट है, उसका अपना रीजन है, इसके अंदर एक और पॉइंट है, उसका अपना रीजन है, until you reach and end where this is a border point, उसका अपना core point नहीं है। So all of this connected region is then a cluster. ठीक है, so as such you can also now quickly see के this density based clustering or DBSCAN in particular can find clusters that are not necessarily always convex, they can be concave clusters as well, different variety of shapes बन सकती हैं clustering की। While in the previous most prototype based techniques में हमें हमेशा आपको convex या spherical clusters ही मिलते थे, while here you can get clusters of arbitrary shapes because they are density connected regions. Of course इनके edges एक्चुअली ब्लैंक स्लाइड मुझे खोलनी चाहिए थी, इस पे जो है ना वो तंग कर रहा है। ओके so what was I saying? Okay, so of course what I was saying was edges of course के राउंडेड होंगे. Let me open the whiteboard. Yes. किधर गया है? I don't know वो किधर गया है, इधर नहीं है. Okay, never mind. ठीक है. All right, there it is. Okay. Okay. So what I was saying was the edges might be rounded, but otherwise those rounded shapes can be connected in arbitrary shapes. ठीक है ना? Of course, that edge roundness would depend on the epsilon that you choose. If the epsilon is very large, you would obviously get bigger clusters. If the epsilon is small, then you will get smaller tight regions like this. Okay. So as you can see now, epsilon and in fact also the minimum number of points would kind of control the shapes of clusters that you get. If epsilon is small, you might get arbitrary shaped clusters, while epsilon is large, you might get more convex type of clusters. Okay. So now you have the basic idea what DB scan is, but what exactly is the algorithm? Algorithm किसना चलता? It's fairly straightforward. So you have n objects, of course, that you want to cluster. So you will have to go to each object. Let's say iteratively select an object and look at its neighborhood defined by epsilon, and see if it is a core point or not, meaning that neighborhood में minimum number of points हैं कि नहीं है. So if it is a core point, well and good, इसका मतलब है कि region ये center of a dense region, then you go to the next object in its region, उसको फिर उसके इर्द गिर्द फिर epsilon बनाएं और देखें कि वो core point बन रहा है कि नहीं बन रहा, and you continue in that fashion. If you reach an object in a core point, in a core region, in a dense region that is not a core point, then that would be a border point, and it will define the boundary of a dense region. So if you go to an object and it is not a core point and it's not a border point, then obviously an outlier, it does not lie in any cluster. Okay? So as you can see, you have to visit every object in the data set, and for every object you will have to find its neighborhood. So in the absence of any other more sophisticated technique, you will need n squared operations. हर एक ऑब्जेक्ट के पास जाएंगे और हर एक ऑब्जेक्ट का नेबरहुड ढूंढने के लिए एवरी अदर ऑब्जेक्ट को भी देखना पड़ेगा आपको. ठीक है ना? सो कंप्यूटेशनल कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी वुड देन बी n square. ठीक है. But of course, if you are able to first index the objects based on distance and then apply the algorithm, then maybe this might be reduced to some log form. For example, आपको KD tree बना दें इस data structure का. So KD tree, I don't know आप लोग कहीं study करते हैं कि नहीं करते. KD tree is a data structure that indexes information based on distance. ठीक है. So can anyone quickly tell me कि ये आप कहीं पढ़ते हैं KD tree में, कहीं advanced algorithms में या algorithms में या distance based indexing? Okay, I think I don't think so. You probably study in the undergrad course. Anyway, so if you have a KD tree for your data set, then maybe you can reduce this to n log n. Okay, but still, in the absence of that, of course, it is going to be n square. So what are the characteristics of this algorithm? Computational complexity तो हमने देख ली. It can be applied to both numeric and categorical data, as long as a distance function is available. ठीक है. ठीक है. डिस्टेंस फंक्शन या कोई सिमिलैरिटी फंक्शन हमारे पास है तो फिर हम न्यूमेरिक पे भी लगा सकते हैं, कैटेगोरिकल पे लगा सकते हैं, मिक्स पे भी लगा सकते हैं. ठीक है. विच इज ऑब्वियसली ए प्लस, मल्टीपल डेटा टाइप्स पे चल सकता है. So as we mentioned before, shape clusters ये ढूंढ लेता है, arbitrarily shaped clusters. It may be concave, it may be convex, it may be of different varying shapes. So this is also a positive. One other thing is, in general, density-based clustering is a generalization of proto-clustering, meaning that the special case of density-based clustering can be a prototype-based clustering. Okay? Yeah, for some parameters, epsilon and minimum points, you might get the same clustering that you get using prototype-based clustering. So prototype-based clustering can be thought of as a simplification of density-based clustering. So what else? Computational complexity हमने discuss कर ली है. And one negative that is specific to this is the approach is sensitive to parameters, epsilon and min points. Okay? So if you change these parameters, you might get different clusterings, and those clustering may not be appropriate for your particular application. So it is kind of sensitive. You have to choose these parameters, these two values appropriately. For example, if you choose epsilon to be too small, you might get too varied type of clustering. And if you, of course, minimum points and epsilon have a complementary relationship. For a given epsilon, if you increase the number of points, then it means that you're only looking for very dense regions. If you decrease the number of points, min points, you might consider sparse regions as well. And on the flip side, for the fixed number of minimum points, if you increase epsilon, तो sparse region को भी आप consider कर रहे हैं, and so on. ठीक है? So any questions? Any questions? So the next thing that we are going to briefly discuss is graph-based clustering. After that, I will briefly talk about deep clustering, and then we'll move on to evaluation. So ग्राफ क्लस्टरिंग शुरू कर दें आज के, वेट कर लें, 606 हो गया. अच्छा, मेरे ख्याल से I will probably stop here. So graph-based clustering, we are going to just discuss some ideas here. Specific algorithm हम discuss नहीं करेंगे. Then we'll talk about the idea of deep clustering or using a neural network for clustering as well as representation, which is becoming more popular in recent times. And then after both of these, we'll talk about evaluation. और evaluation पे भी मेरे ख्याल से एक lecture लगेगा complete या maybe 1.5. ठीक है? अच्छा, ठीक है. तो I think there is very little participation today. I think participants ही कोई नहीं, 100 की class में सिर्फ 5-6 लोग हैं. So आप लोगों के बाकी